Grüß Gott, guten Abend, danke fürs Kommen. Ich freue mich, heute Litto begrüßen zu dürfen. Sie wird uns über ihre Arbeit erzählen und über das Artificial Museum. Bitte.
Hello, danke für Ihr Kommen. Thank you for your time. I think I hear that I should talk in English. As you like, I can also talk German. Is someone not speaking German? Well, then we do it in English. I introduce myself. I'm Litto. I'm the founder and inventor of the Artificial Museum. And next to me is Jascha Ehrenreich. He's the poet of the code, partner in crime, established with me together this museum. And I will show you a short introduction, but just one sentence what it is. The Artificial Museum is an international platform which uses the technology of augmented reality to position art in public space. That's the explanation of it, I guess. And I will show you a little video to that, what we did in 2021. Let's see. So that's us. And we have no sound. Oops. Yeah. See, there are specific locations and you can really enter into the piece. The number changed. Also that one changed. Yeah, we just started at that point, so. On the right, you see the sound artist who did the music. It's Manuel Cyril Bachinger. I have to mention him because he actually did all the sounds for our videos. So I always ask him. Okay, so yeah. So it's an international museum derived by some funny idea. So how did it start? How we got this idea? It started all in 2020. You know the time. There was a big change for our lives and for our jobs and for actually everything in our life. And especially also for me, shortly about myself, I started really late getting into the arts. Before that I studied business administration. I was over 30, so let's say over 30. I got into art school. And at that time, I was really frustrated about the situation of the art market. So I had not really a connection. I felt also really alone in that because I came from the angewandte Grafik, so I came from the graphic design, which I studied also before. Anyway, I came from that, so working in a group, working in a team, and establish something bigger than you can do actually by yourself. And Jascha comes also from the MetaLab, from the hackerspace. And in 2020, it came all down to a frustration where I didn't know what to do. And at that point, I was studying at Transmediale at the Angewandte University of Applied Arts. And I dropped this idea of just using public space to just use also augmented reality to make something, you know, somewhere there, and people can just watch it without paying for entrance, without making some marketing. It's just there. They kind of told me this is bullshit. I mean, sorry, this is not a good idea. And I wanted to apply for this grant. It's called Curates Vienna. They actually support art in public space. And one professor just completely pulled me down, and in the end, Jascha was the motivator and said, yeah, let's try. And we got funded. So thank you for letting me this frustration, you know, because of all shit comes a flower out of it. So this was the flower out of the shit. And it was a concept for an exhibition. It was at the Yppenplatz in Vienna. It's an empty, do you see my mouse? Yeah. So it's an empty space, and it was not used, which was perfect for the idea to build a system within a system, and that was the concept of the exhibition. And at that time, there were other artists who were also frustrated. So they lost their studio, and they lost their job, and they didn't know what to do. So we invited all these kind of collectives. There was also Sandkasten-Syndikats, Setzkasten Wien, My Sound of Music, and Dagmar Rom, and also, what was her name? She does these really amazing carpets and visualizations on carpets. You know her name? Okay, anyway. So there were many involved in that project, and they had 1 week to do something within the space, and this we actually collected data, scanned, made videos, audio. So we collected materials, and then we put it into an augmented reality piece. In that time, I learned Blender 3D, and I learned a lot about how to translate something physical, something analog into the virtual space. That was a kind of really interesting exhibition, and this was actually the starting point from the Artificial Museum. In the end, we called it Artificial Museum because we were sitting together, and then we had this idea, yeah, just be a museum. And some people thought that we are a museum, and so we continued also in Toronto. This was SystemKollektiv. She does actually analog film. Maybe somebody heard of SystemKollektiv in Toronto? Anyway, she got to know us because through a person who worked with us for the first exhibition, he talked about it, word to mouth, came to that idea that we do also an exhibition in Toronto. So that was the first overseas, sorry for that mistake, with the Artificial Museum. But in that year, there was the first expansion to Chemnitz, which is in Germany, a city, the Karl Marx city. Actually, not many people know it because it's not that famous like Berlin or Leipzig, but it's near there. And it have this huge head, the Karl Marx head. And there's also a nice community called Club Solitaire and the Zietenstraße. And there we got invited for residence. And we went there for 2 months. And we asked local artists to be part of the exhibition. And so we got to know local artists there. And some of them were really good in 3D development and also in programming, so it was really a nice collaboration. And in the same year, we also got into the Angewandte Festival, so the University of Applied Arts Festival every year, because Gerda Lampalzer, she's here in the picture. I had a course at her media art course. It's for 2 semesters, and in the end of this course, they do an exhibition, and she asked us if we want to make an exhibition with the students or with my colleagues. So we did that. And also with the FH St. Pölten, they were also involved. And it was called Opposition, so it was an opposition to the classical exhibition concept. And and then it continued, because then more people got know us, and this year in 2022 it was the year of collaboration. I would say it was a lot. It was like at that time the Bund, so the state, actually put a lot of money after the pandemic. A lot of people got this digitalization grant, and some of them like Zirp, XA Niederösterreich, it's Markus Wintersberger, Echoräume, they do something a lot with sound and in this experimental sound scene. Wiener Lichtblicke, it's about light in public space, interventions in public space with light installation. So they got this grant and they asked us to collaborate. So we had a lot to do this year and we learned a lot. So here you see Jascha talking. We also did intervention with Textfeld Südost. They came to us with no money and said, yeah, you know, the Heeresgeschichtliche Museum has a collection which is actually questionable because the way they represent it, it's more like they celebrated what they have on content instead of making a critical archive out of it. So we invited 12 political artists, also in our community, to just make an intervention. And that was actually funded by all these collaborations and also this prize we got from Wirtschaftsagentur with the Vienna Creatives and Content Vienna. And then they also invited us for this future community to collaborate with a cultural forum, which was actually Moscow. So it was not happening at all. Yeah. Other topic. Yes. So let's continue. So 2023, we continued working in collaboration with the partners what we had. And there was the focus more on getting more into depth, so more into research. We also constructed a performance where you can put live data into augmented reality. I don't have a video now. I just thought keep it simple. And we got invited also to Symposium Linderbrunn, which is something I can recommend. They have this huge area with stones, sculptures from the past, and they use that as an exhibition and collaboration space. And so we got invited there. And we also invited Mehdi Piller and Victoria Köhlen and Hideo Snes. He was also at the Schmiede. He's really into AI research. And that's Manuel Cyril Bachinger, our sound artist, who also was part of the performance and of the exhibition. Yeah, and we developed something which is called like these volumetric videos. Maybe you heard about it. There's also Nerve, which was really complex and really high performative, but we just did a simple shader out of it. So we can put videos into 3D space and they have a kind of depth. And a lot of our collaboration partners liked that a lot. So Total Refusal came into play and they got funded by Kör again. And they wanted, for instance, to have their video How to Disappear, which was actually also really famous and got some prizes, to put that into space at the Ballhausplatz, and we did some free snippets and put that into this 3D dimensional space. And also Schubert Theater, which is something also you should check out. They do puppetry theater for adults, and they make it a really political, interesting, funny approach. And one piece was about Aaron Swartz, about the manifesto, open access manifesto, and they wanted to show him as a digital, not object but monument. So we digitized him with AI. Hideo did the voice so that it's really him, and I did puppeting. So I played Aaron so that he's actually a virtual Aaron and talking about his open access manifest. And this is Lisa Zingerles. She's also now in our team. She's a really great producer, director of the Schubert Theater, still there. Yeah, that was 2023. And in the end of this year, we made our yearly concept art exhibition, which was Landing on the Moon. And we invited, again, artists from the community. So SystemKollektiv collected the ones from Toronto. And I asked the experimental game cultures in Vienna if they want to be part of this exhibition. So there's also a video, let's try. The sound is again from Manuel Cyril Bachinger, just to mention. Yes. And what you see here, it's not augmented. It's also with a first-person controller. So we implemented that because the moon, we can't enter because there's also no GPS, but we can bring it to Vienna and enter into a portal, and then you actually land on the moon. And there are different concepts. It was about what will happen 2030, and the moon is the representation exhibition space. So we took this space to think about new ideas and think about the future coming ahead of us with a critical mind as an artist and as a scientist or as a political activist. This is an alien which actually conquers your phone. This is from Libby, the aliens waiting to come to Earth. So there are a lot of different concepts, and I really like this kind of idea. Yeah, this is the Dr. Karl Lueger Denkmal, just put in the dust and turned a little bit. This is a concept, you know. Yeah, and Trump on the moon in 2030. Let's see. Maybe that makes sense. Yeah. So this was the exhibition. It's still online, so you can still see it. Yeah, and now we come to this year. And this was the focus on social responsibility, back to the roots. We had 3 collaboration partners to mention. I've come from the bottom up. Bela and Gilles, they're a duo, and they do, maybe you know them, architectural, really interesting installations in public space. And they got into contact with the community here in Vienna from Rwanda. And Rwanda, as you maybe know, had 30 years back then a huge genocide, and there is no monument. There is no monument at their place, there's no monument in Europe, nowhere. And they had the urge to put that at the Yppenplatz with 3 xylums in black, and in the middle was this virtual xylem which shows the names of the fallen ones, the dead ones. And yeah, this was the community, and they were really young, you know, they lost their parents or their grandparents, and they still, you know, so it was a really interesting project. And then we got also into Tricky Woman. They do every year this female, film festival for female artists, mostly concentrating on female and queer artists. And they started to contact us and started to collaborate with us with the intent to make female feministic positions in Vienna or around Vienna. And so this is still something what we will work on, and there was a pilot project. And this year we also went to the Kinderstadt with Gold Extra. That was 3 weeks intensive work with small humans from 8 until 14, so we got a lot to learn there. And what we did for them was to make a framework with AI to go from a drawing into a 3D object, and that they could put on the Mars. So we were the Mars station at the Kinderstadt, and the kids were the researchers putting an utopia or dystopia or cheese land on the Mars, and they made a lot of utopias. And Gold Extra has that on their website called kinderstadt.goldextra.com. I didn't show any websites yet. I mean, we'll show later. Yeah, so as you see, Jascha and me, had a lot to do the last 4 years. And the question is now, why we're doing that, or what is actually our plan to do so? And I mean, we're over 40 now, so we're not a startup. We're not getting into that field. I'm too old for that, and too, how to say, ideologically not into that planning. But we have a plan, and as I mentioned, I have this kind of 2 worlds. So I studied business, but I got into the arts. But I still have this analytical strategy thinking, where I feel like it has to be done on a specific scale of collaboration partners. You see, it's a short graph. It's actually bigger, but I made it small. So these stars are actually artists in our network, in our community, and there is also an institution, a small institution, a big one. And we had to split, because in 2023, we realized just 2 of us making these manual processes, making these exhibitions, it was like a filter, a lot of work for us. So it was about optimizing manual processes. So we need a framework, and with this, the Wirtschaftsagentur Wien was really impressed by this idea to build a framework for this kind of network, for what you see actually on the Artificial Museum, how it works. there's a back end behind it, a content management system behind it. A system like WordPress where you can put actually, you know, content on a website. It's web-based, maybe I didn't mention it, so we don't use an app. We are web-based AR. And this infrastructure is on the black side. And this infrastructure, the artificial museum, is on the art side, on the light side. So why we entered the black side is to maintain it, to be able to give salary to programmers, to be able to expand and give also a tool for you as an artist or as an institution to work and make an exhibition happen with this concept. So with this framework in mind, we build this network where we have the artificial net and the artificial lab. And the lab is for artists to have a 3D editor to build, you know, your own augmented reality. So you don't have to ask us, hey, can you upload that now? Can you minimize it? No, you can do it by yourself, which is awesome for collaborating, right? And there's also then a framework for concepting an exhibition with location-based data. So you can put your locations with art involved into public space, and you can decide where and when it should be published, which makes also a lot of sense for us because we don't want to do it. You should decide, right? So to come to an end soon, the artificial lab we tested out at the Schmiedehallein this year and also in Chemnitz again and at the Kinderstadt. It is a framework where, you know, you can build your own augmented reality, test it out, and then have it published. And the same holds true for the net. So it's about an interface where you can add your location, customize it, connect it with an art piece, and then put it into the public space. Yeah, so this whole spreading out and continuing working is actually the idea to stay the way we started it. So from the system concept, what we started at the beginning, it grew, it got international, and the idea is that it will also survive me as a person because I'm half time now, so I will maybe live 40 years, let's see. You know, the way I smoke, I don't think so. So it should actually survive me and Jascha, he's even older than me and smokes much more, so let's see. Yeah, you have to think about that, right? You never know. Yeah, and this is our manifest. I will go through really quickly. You can read it after, just to let you know that we have a manifest in mind where I just tell the things in there what I just told you. This is the Yppenplatz, there where we started. This is a banyan baum. It's a symbol of overtaking the system and do something new because the old system dies and animals can live within it. It's a nice symbol. And yeah, and then we traveled to the moon and we ended up here. And this is what we are now today. So we made a redesign. We have here on the right corner the moon. So everything is there. You can check it out. And I'm open for questions. Thank you. Thank you, thank you.